Oh, look at
Oh, what is
that.
this? Is
Woo!
My
this
new
your
book's
My
out.
new
Rise of the
book.
Clones?
Woohoo!
Guy Anderson's new book. Very stylish
Hey,
of you, by the
Premiering.
way.
yeah. So it's
Nice.
got,
Premiering.
yeah, cloning in here, Cabbage Patch Babies, baby farms, incubator babies, doppelgangers.
Oh,
Excellent.
Zuckerberg.
Well done,
Yeah, it's all in
Guy.
there. Thank you.
Well
So yeah, it
done,
just came
mate.
in the post yesterday.
All
Oh,
right.
So,
Well, we shall
but it's
leave
the.
links below so people can run to
Can you
buy
see
the
that?
book.
It's the editor copy. So this one is. They don't all come with that
not for
plastered
resale.
across them. Yeah. So this is the one I've got to go through. So it's yeah, yeah,
Wow.
hot off the press.
Maybe
It's
you
Well,
should
still
that's
wet.
sign it and auction it off.
I thought about that, but I kept my first one. Do you know what? I can't
Yeah.
even find it. I did keep my. Oh, here we go. So, well, my first book when it came out, I kept it, the
Yeah.
editor copy,
Even
because
better.
it's kind of,
Then
you
you
know,
need two though. Then you can bequeath them to your children.
well,
yeah. Well,
congratulations, Guy. Well
thank you.
done. Such a big
Jeez,
task to get a book
double
published.
author.
I
Gee,
know, mate. You're making us
we,
look
we
very
need to get
bad.
we need to get our shit together, Kelly,
I
and get our
know.
book
Fuck.
going.
You should do maybe a sort of a regular slot about getting your shit together.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
we
I know,
should. We
right?
should do that at
Think below,
6:30 every
guys.
morning. Link below every
Think
single
below.
morning for the rest of the year. Anyone who
Yes,
wants to join us. It's by donation at 6:30 a.m. Get your shit together hour. If you hadn't heard about it, it's very fucking cool. It's all
very
designed to
cool.
get our shit together
Yep.
and the rest of the world, whoever wants to join us. It's a
It's
cool hour. Is it not,
yes.
Campbell? What do we do?
It's a good use of time. We're in the quickening. If we don't get our shit together now, it's going to be December the 25th, and we'll go, what the hell happened to that year?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we breathe, we do gratitude, we get focus on where we want to go, and then we do a nice little meditation at the end. 1 hour in the morning, or
It's
that's
a
in Australia,
It's a
evening.
really brilliant way to start your day. It's really, really effective at just getting yourself clear and focused and motivated for the day. These are up and down times, lots of energy surges. So it takes a lot of effort to be stable and grounded in your emotional
Mm.
faculty these days. So it's a really good start to the day for anyone in Australia. Anyone overseas who wants to participate, once you register, you'll get a link to the videos we use, which are in a 7-day cycle. Although we decided not to do it on the weekends, a vote was passed by the group and they all wanted the rest on the weekend. But for anyone who's thinking about joining us, link below, come and
Mm.
check it out. It really is a very positive thing to do to start your morning.
Yeah.
Highly recommended.
And on Fridays, we share our good shit, and that's the best good stuff. So,
Oh, that's when everyone
mm,
gets to talk and tell about what's happened during their week. And it's really good. It's really
good
wise,
shit.
exponentially wise. Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. Very good shit. Anyway, all the information below.
All
And
right.
thanks for reminding us, Guy, because we
Hit the
always
link.
forget to
Thank you.
promote all these sorts of things. They never happen. So thank you so much. So what a cool
And
way to
we're
start the show.
starting. I was going to say, have we started the show? Where's your
We've started.
introduction?
Ah, Australia, back with Guy Anderson. Everyone's been asking. And look what he's turned up with. His very second book. We leave him alone for a few weeks and then poof, out comes another book.
I know,
Just like
right?
that.
Guy does not need to get his shit together. He has
He's
got his shit together.
Damn, Guy, you're making us look bad. Tell us about it,
Yes.
man. Do a promo.
Yeah.
I'm just listening to you. You two are always doing stuff, though. You're so busy, the pair of you. Like, do you know what? I started taking lion's mane. You know, the mushroom lion's mane.
Me too. Just started today.
Have you?
Just today, I got my new pack.
Oh man, that has helped me so much. It's the focus.
Just
I only
love
sleep
them.
for about 4 hours, but my brain is now less cloudy. So rather than these moments where you're thinking, I don't know what to do, and what should I write about, or what should I post, or what should I research, it seems to come a lot more clearer. The stuff's amazing.
All right.
Wow.
So I think that's helped. I've been taking that for a while now, and that's really
Awesome.
helped. I've just got information pouring out of me.
Wow. We need a link to that.
And it seems
right below.
Yeah, link below.
yeah. I got it off some weird man in a market.
Oh, well, that's the best stuff, man.
Yep.
Weird, strange people.
Yeah, they're always the best
absolutely.
people at the end of the best drug hunts. Always the best people.
Yeah, I think you're right there. But yeah, that's really helped, and it enabled me, I think, to focus, because I got to a point where I thought the book was ready and I could hit publish or submit it, and I took a few more extra tablets, if you like, than I would have done normally, and gave it a few hours, and then went back and went through the whole book in 48 hours. I didn't sleep. I went through the whole book.
Wow.
And rewrote some of it, added bits, inserted a bit more information here and there, and then decided to write another chapter as well and put that in it. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, it should have been out on the 1st of April.
So you up the dose and you got a bigger reaction.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
okay.
I did.
Well,
I figured I just thought, if I'm not sleeping, rather than sitting there thinking, procrastinating, let's up the dosage and see if I can pump out more information. And there's something in it. There's something in it.
Are you suggesting, Guy, we should add mushrooms to our Get the Shit Together hour? Is that what you're suggesting?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think every mushroom is up for consideration too.
Yep, absolutely.
They all, I mean, even if it's just to put in with your dinner, they all have a function, don't they? They all have a purpose. They either taste nice or they do something pretty amazing. I tried microdosing years ago, and that was incredible.
I haven't tried that yet, but I'd like to. But also, the mushroom network, like the mycelium, is the biggest network in the world, and it's like the nature's internet, pretty much, is how I see it. So
absolutely connects everything.
We've been adjusting cows at the farm and have noticed that happily that those little cow patties are producing some golden little nuggets. So we're going to incorporate that in some of our events. Don't tell anyone.
Over here in England, if you want to find the Liberty caps, and you need quite a lot of them to do anything.
Liberty caps. That's a very English name for
it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, or sort of it's definitely British Empire, isn't it?
Yeah,
it stinks of colonialism, doesn't it? Really. Look for a sheep field wherever there is sheep.
Yeah.
Always grows near sheep crap.
Yeah. How's a cow patty?
Yeah, you just need a lot of it.
My first mushroom experience was in the UK, and there's be like these little shops, and there'd be these plastic packets with these long white mushrooms, and over the top there was always a label for science purpose only or something. That was how they got through it was something like this. And they were really big, and man, I spent a good 2 years trying to figure out how to consume them without vomiting. They always make me vomit these things, but damn, we had some fun. I was on the beach in Bournemouth in the UK, like essentially attempting to juggle like 8 balls or something, like in a totally focused mushroom capacity, until in my mind I wasn't even moving my hands. And I did that for months and months, attempting to achieve that goal. I had a really good time on the old science only mushrooms UK brand. I don't know if you can still buy it. They were like £5.
No,
Jeez.
no. You need to pick them yourself, or find someone who does pick them, or
Yeah.
yeah,
Always better.
a
Always
wholesaler
better.
somewhere.
Always
You can
better.
buy them
Yeah,
in a lot of the states in the US in their little
yeah.
like government, what are they called? Bloody, what they call them. But yeah, you can get anything there, man. Like mushroom
I
in
know.
California. In California, you can walk down the street with a pound of weed and it's legal.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's gone mental over there.
It's.
Crazy.
Do you think though that what's happened is actually, if you look at it, anything that enables you to think slightly differently, or let's say you trip, but are you tripping, or is that just a different level of consciousness? Anything that disconnects you from this sort of prison that we live in, is illegal. And
Yeah.
I think that that's so we don't have the ability to disconnect, so we stay in the system. And I think it's that perhaps more so than pushing big pharma. I
Yeah.
think that they don't want us doing things like ayahuasca, for example, because if everybody took ayahuasca and had a ceremony and took it properly in the right conditions, and realized actually what they're here for, and what is out there, and what you can see in these experiences that you can't normally see, then it would change people's lives. And I don't think people would put up with this shit that we do if you realize that we're a lot more powerful, and we're all connected, and we've got gifts and abilities that we don't know how to use, and we can connect to the gods, so to speak. And if everybody knew that, they'd have no way of controlling us ever again.
No.
Agreed.
When the wisdom is internal, you don't need an external person to tell you what to do, right? I mean, it's the
Exactly. And that's
same
what
as
we
the
need, isn't it?
boundary. Yeah, it's the same as the boundary is, like physically the ice wall, right? We're only
Yeah.
allowed to know one reality. And as soon as people start to figure out, hang on, maybe there's another one, then the whole thing
It's the same in
disintegrates, right?
everything. Everything's like that.
Mm.
Everything's like that.
Levels of perception.
It's all been
Yeah.
blocked entry denied, access denied in all directions.
It's
Unless
like
you,
people
unless you
have
just,
Stockholm syndrome.
that's a very good
Well,
way of putting
well,
it.
they
That is a very
do.
good way of putting it.
I mean, you look at the initial experiment and then you look at society and it's kind of the same thing, right?
It is. It is. We
Yeah.
want someone to tell us what to do, and we're happy with that.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
long as someone's telling us what to do, we can function. And the moment we realize that we don't need to go to church to pray, we don't need a God, it's all within us, and we're a lot more powerful than we realize. And we can make our own decisions, and we know right from
Yeah.
wrong. We don't need to be hit over the head every 5 minutes. As soon as people understand that, then we can change the world.
Yeah.
But people don't. They want someone to tell them what to do. They
Yeah.
want
Well,
rules.
the thing is,
Well,
when you get rid of rulers, you've got to take total self-responsibility.
Mm.
You got to stand there and go, oh, it's all my fault. Shit.
Yeah,
I'm the one that
yeah.
has to
Take it
do
on the
something.
chin.
Yeah. And most people would just rather, Netflix and chill, right?
yeah, but like,
Yeah,
I mean, that's
that
a
means
good,
something different over here, mate.
Oh, does
yeah.
it? Did I not say?
Yeah,
Okay.
Netflix and chill is yeah, to have a hookup with someone.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
what?
Jeez, what?
Yeah,
How?
yeah. I didn't know that. My kids have to share this stuff with me. I've got no. Oh, I say kids; they're nearly bloody
Okay.
30, but
No links
I've
below,
got no
people. No
idea.
links for that one.
I mean,
Tell me all.
I would be worried. I mean, what part of what I want to talk about with you guys tonight is the topic of population and China. And because I went to China and I reported back that it was basically empty. And that was like, it was really shocking coming from India. Because they've got roughly the same 1.34 billion people. Off the back of that, we went to China, it was empty. And it's really interesting. I want to show you guys a video of that. But on the topic of, like how many people are actually on this realm, like what are the actual numbers? And if the numbers are dramatically lower than what we've been told, like dramatically, then I'd be pretty worried if I was them, because I think a lot of the people who are actually really here are awake. That's what I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think the only well, it is the only source that we are told that, everyone believes a narrative is the mainstream narrative. Like that's it. That's the only place we get this like information, right? I think a lot more people are awake than what we're told. I think that the population is a lot smaller than what we're told. And when you work that out, it means who's the boogeyman? Like China's been the boogeyman, right? With 1.2 billion people going to
Yep.
invade the world, got the biggest army in the world. Oh my God, they're coming for us. They're all robots. Hang on, they don't exist.
Yes, yes, and yes. I mean, it's true with Russia. It's true with Russia. It's basically true everywhere. I mean, it's noticeable to us in Australia. Obviously, we can travel so far for so long, for so many days, and really not run into that many people. I mean, it's
Hmm.
vastly, vastly empty. And when you go into sort of the cities, and the cities in Australia these days, they look as empty as fucking China. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Yes, totally. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and why is that? Have a lot of people been unalived by recent events, or is this that a lot of them weren't actually there? Is this some kind of NPC thing? That they've been taken out of the game.
Yeah.
I
Something
think they
dramatic
lie
has
anyway.
happened. You
I
think
think
they
the
are?
population
Oh,
is
for
well out.
sure. How
Well, I
many?
mean,
How many do you think, Guy, are actually here?
what is the official number?
I don't.
It's like 7 billion, I think.
The official number is heading towards 8
Yeah,
billion. It's like 7.6 or 7, I think, at the moment.
yeah, 7.6, isn't it? But but how could they possibly know that? Because
Exactly.
what they're telling us is that they know the exact population of all the indigenous tribes.
Yep.
They
And
know
I mean,
all
even for the Western world, like when was the last time you did a referendum?
yeah. Well, we had one to leave the EU, didn't we?
Oh,
That's the last one I
to leave
remember.
the air, yeah, the whole fiasco.
That didn't go very well because, yeah, now we could only go to Europe and stay there for 3 months. We got to come back again. So that kind of
Mhm.
backfired. Um, yeah, we don't. And a lot of people don't bother with the censuses and putting yourself on the electoral roll. A lot of people don't bother with that either. And there are so many people that are off grid.
Yeah.
They might be living in a house like you and I do, but that they're not actually registered in anything. They don't participate. I know loads of people like that. So I do not believe. I would imagine that this country alone probably has no idea really of how many people are homeless living on the streets,
Yep.
let alone anything else. So how can somebody say it's 7.6 billion?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
just no way of knowing that, and I think they've tried to make out for years we're overpopulated. But as you quite rightly said, Kelly, all you've got to do is next time you're in a plane, look out the window. Most
Yeah.
of the land you pass,
I,
it,
I,
it, it,
And travel.
I
Just like,
seriously
yeah,
think that's why they banned the airships. That's one of the big
yep.
reasons. Because in an
yes,
airship, you're low, you're slow, and you can see what's below you. In an airplane, you can't.
yeah,
You're way
Yep.
up in the
yeah,
clouds, you're going too fast. And I think if we had airships, everyone would realize this is a pretty empty realm. Like
I
I've been to
reckon.
America and Europe and stuff. There's no overpopulation anywhere
No,
unless you're
it's
going to
India,
a big
India,
city.
India. India was
I've never
big,
been. I haven't been to
but
India.
there was a lot of land. There was a lot of unpopulated land. It's when you're in the sort of the hubs,
The
it's
big
big.
cities.
It's really
Yeah.
big. It's true, but it's like, and same with Egypt. Like Cairo was epic. Like it felt so busy. But as soon as you leave Cairo, you can drive for days and see hardly anyone. In fact, we never really saw a concentrated population after that. So, I mean, I would suspect if they're saying 7 billion, I would put it more like a billion.
I,
And I would
I,
mm,
actually, like,
I'd
if you
go
travel,
lower.
you'd go low. I
Yeah.
think
I think it's
maybe lower.
probably.
Yeah, maybe
Oh,
lower.
I think it's between like 5 and 700 million.
Yeah, well, certainly it's like a massive chunk
I
difference from
mean,
what we've been taught. And think about all the way that why we're taught that. Like every agenda is underpinned by that. It creates
hello, global warming.
yes, global warming, climate change, all the human need for surveillance and control, all the need for armies and police, because, you know, we've got to protect our citizens from invaders, all this notion of, say, like the economic differences between this concept of a third world and a first world, and this economic difference and disparity in money, the value of money around the world. Like, there's so much they underpin this false narrative of population on. Like, it's really a big issue. They can create gigantic concepts like Russia and China are going to invade the world with their gigantic armies and gigantic populations. Like, they create monsters using population, basically.
Totally.
So
Totally. I just had a look. There's 56 million people apparently in London. Oh, not London,
Yeah, that's bullshit.
England. Sorry, England. But you know, it's got to beg the question is how, like, what's at least what we see on the news is what's going on in England, like this whole population transfer, and they got to be careful. 56 million people. How did they dilute that population so fast?
yeah,
Wouldn't they
that's
have
a very
had to
good
bring
point.
in like 30 million people if that's the true number?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
It's
One thing
bullshit,
that's
right?
here's it's obviously all things Tartaria, the world's fairs are worth looking into with regard to
Yes.
how many people they say attended. And I was looking yesterday at the 1915 San Francisco World's Fair, which was the Panama Pacific Exposition.
Yeah.
19 million people attended that in under a year. 19 million,
Whatever.
73,000 people a day. My first question is, where'd they go to the toilet?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exactly.
How did they
There,
get
there was no
food?
indoor
How did they
plumbing.
get where were the hotels? Where were they
Yep.
staying?
And how
Four
did they get
hotels.
there?
Four
Well,
hotels.
apparently there were four hotels, so they put temporary campsites on the grounds. Have you ever seen any pictures of temporary campsites in any
No.
World's Fair?
No, but it's
So
an
four
interesting
ho-
thing to do once if you're able to build like massive cities in a year
Out of plaster.
out of plaster. Why don't you
yeah,
set
paper
tents up?
mache.
Like,
Paper
come on,
mache.
another
Yeah,
couple of
yeah.
months and you'd have, you know, 70,000
But
bloody
It would look
accommodation
like
paper,
fucking
rentals.
Calcutta. It
Yeah.
would
so how?
be
Yeah,
insane. So
19 million people. I mean, where were the? Who are these 19 million people? 73,000 people a day attending an exposition without proper public transport. They reckon a lot of them
Hmm.
came by boat and some by horse and carriage. Where'd you put all the horse and carriages?
Who cleaned
So
up the
these all of
food?
these
Who fed the
figures,
horses? It's just, it's
yeah, and the shit. Where's it all going? Ours and
Yep.
theirs.
Yep.
Some people came by boat. No, they didn't. It's just ridiculous. So
Oh,
Come
I
on,
think the
guy.
populations are skewed
oh,
just
We
with
built the
regard
whole
to
of
everything.
Australia. The whole of Australia was built by boat. Everything that came to Australia came by the mysterious boat, or
well,
should we say ship,
I was
Campbell?
going to say ships.
Yeah,
So I've
yeah,
been thinking they always call them ships. But was
yeah,
that a sea ship or an airship?
yeah,
Yep, because the airship can make way more sense. How did they bring all these
Way more
people
sense.
over if they actually did? The only way we could really conceive it would be in an airship because they're
Mm.
huge and you could really
mm,
do it quickly and effortlessly and safely. I mean, 6 to 9 months at sea with a horse
yeah,
and a camel and a
Yeah.
bucket of urine. What? As if, and all the convicts that suddenly turned into architects and built Melbourne. No, I don't think so.
yeah,
Like, it's a
yeah,
crazy concept. If it did happen, it was airships.
Mm.
yeah. I mean, the first government building, I think it's the first government building in Sydney. That was the architect for that was a convict who was
Yeah.
Yeah.
still on the ship when they
Oh,
started
still on the
building it.
ship, still
Yeah.
on the ship.
Francis
Oh my goodness.
Greenway, wasn't it?
Yeah.
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 They were using pigeons
And
to
and
communicate.
and he was in his 20s and he
Yeah,
then went on to, I think he designed, you know, architected, whatever you want to call it, like 20 of the
yeah,
old world buildings in Sydney.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
yeah.
I
What he'd
think
done
he's
is
the
he had
one
cloned
where,
himself.
yeah, well, I think he's the one where it says like his uncles were architects. So
Mm,
that's how he like got this architect information. It's like they don't even
yeah,
try. I'm sure
Nah,
they're
they
I
taking
don't
know.
shit.
try.
Did you guys
With
see? Katy Perry went to space.
No.
Yeah, I heard about that. I did hear about that. But she's one of those, isn't she? She's someone that I've for years
Oh,
now I've been seeing footage of her
Yeah.
appearing to malfunction.
yeah,
So I think she's part of it all.
she's on
Of
tape
course she
saying she
is.
sold her soul,
Yeah.
definitely. But
And there
on this,
was
oh, sorry, when the pilot landed, have you seen the footage? Like it lands and it looks like it's made, it looks like an IKEA.
yeah.
Mm,
It's not got anything to do with space. They got no helmets, they got no spacesuits. And then they go up like Jeff Bezos because he funded it, apparently. And
mm,
they go up to the door and it opens like inward.
mm.
And this lady's like, oh, and then it shuts suddenly. And this, they release this footage, which is crazy. And then later on, like Jeff walks up with his big spanner or something and he like opens the door. And
Yeah,
it's
it was
like,
so staged. But I mean,
what
it's
the hell?
ridiculous.
It's
Come
already
on.
been opened. And
I
it's so
we don't even
crazy.
need to talk about that one because like
Let's,
it's
yeah, but
dumb.
if you haven't seen
It's
it,
so dumb.
Google it. It's
Mm.
ridiculous. It's worse than the saving from the ISS with the whole AI, and the dolphins and the no
Yeah.
waves and oh my God.
I mean, they're looking
And
pretty fucking stupid these days. Like, I
I'm
mean, we
sure
thought
that
they
they're taking the piss, right?
yeah, I mean, come
Yeah.
on. Like
Yeah.
it's I mean their magic state, I mean, we've always believed they have to show us in order for their spell or their thing to work. So I guess they still have to do that maybe. And we're just like, oh my God, it's so bad. You
But,
know, like it doesn't work if you've seen it doesn't work. It's so bad. It's like it might as well be Play School or Sesame Street to our eyes. Like there's
mm,
no, you're not even entertained by it. Like it's that bad. It's like a really bad Netflix, very well done TV series. So I
it's
think they still have to do it. That I mean, otherwise, why would they? Why would
Yeah.
they? I mean, surely
Is
they
it
can see how bad it is.
is it
mm,
karmic retribution? Do you think that they fear that when they meet the maker, that there'll be there'll be consequences if they haven't told us what's going on? So they do it in such a way that we just dismiss it as fiction, or or we take it in. We, you know, a lot of people take it in. You could argue with most people about the moon landings, and they'll say, "Well, of course we landed there. Why would they lie about that?" They won't look into
yeah.
anything too
Um,
deeply because perhaps they don't want to. But Hollywood in particular, you know, holly is the tree that
True magic
wands
wand.
are made from.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
so the whole thing
Yeah.
to do with Hollywood, it's all symbology. They're referencing
Oh,
magic.
totally. Totally, man.
Um,
Cast of actors, right? A cast.
yeah, absolutely,
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
Oh
absolutely, yeah.
dear.
I think at this point I think they know what's coming. I think they know the end is nigh, and I think they just take
Mm,
the piss, man. They're like, what can we get away with? What will these idiots believe? Let's just
yeah,
And they have no
send.
choice.
They have their
They
what?
just got to do what they're told anyway. They have no choice. They
No,
have to
well,
do what they're told anyway. So
yeah.
if they're told that they have to get into a giant penis and pretend to go to the space and to come back and
mm.
look like they have to do it. Like
And then
they've got no
kiss the
option.
earth.
It's
Yes.
all part of their ritual. I guess it's part of their drama.
Well, it's their worship, I guess,
Yeah.
to their god.
Mm.
But they're looking like
Anyway, we found an interesting little clip, didn't we?
ah yes,
You
I've got it
did.
lined up. This is
You got
just for
lined up.
Guy. Yeah,
This is for
let me
you,
get in there,
guy.
Hayne. I wanted to this is very crazy. This is actually we had our first event volunteer workshop last week. So let me get out of there. I've got to find it.
Yes,
And
we did.
it was excellent and so fun and so cool. And one excellent human being called Dusty
Dusty.
told me about oh, where is it? It's here somewhere. Told me about this guy. And I bet you've never seen it. I'll
And
be
this is
amazed
this is
if
from
you've seen
a
this.
kids show, an Australian kids show from the 80s, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
or late 80s, caught around the twist. And
It was very popular.
check this out.
Where was it
Oh,
popular? Would
I'll
I have
just have
seen it
it.
Australia,
here?
Australia. I don't think
Right.
you would have seen it. I'm pretty. It was one of those more, when we used to have sort of
Oh,
community type shows, the smaller sort of. It was pretty big in Australia. So have you
oh,
lost it, Kelly?
sorry. Yeah, I think they made it a big screen. Just
Well,
share. Well, I fixed that. Share
okay.
with
Talk amongst
the
yourselves for a
So
moment.
no,
we've just
share with
spent
everyone about the cool stage we
yes,
just
yes, we've
built.
just spent 2 weeks in Tabulum on the farm building a stage, 8 by 3 meter stage. So we got it done. We had like some volunteers. We had
Had the best
um,
time.
Dusty and Joan drove eight
Yep.
hours from
Wow.
Sydney to help for like 2 days and then drive back again. We had other awesome tabulites come down and help.
It was
We
so
had Sandy
fun.
drive down from Queensland for a few hours and we constructed a stage and had lots of good conversations. So link below, guys. There's going to be a link. We're going to have more working bees. If you want to join us, hopefully there's something below.
All right, so this was the coolest TV show from the 80s. We grew up on this. Everyone watched it. It's Australian, and they reminded me of this scene.
What are you doing, mate?
Looking for babies.
Right. I'll look for one over here then.
Found one.
One what?
Baby, of course. Keep looking. It might be twins.
It's a baby.
What's going on here? I can hear a baby.
The cabbage has just given birth.
Bronson's delivered a baby.
And there's no kissing either.
Give it here. It is a green baby. But it's turning blue. It stopped breathing. Come on, I'll give it away.
Don't smack him.
What's going on here?
Bronson's found a green baby.
A green baby.
Yes.
Oh. You'd almost swear it was alive.
It is alive.
It is?
Here, give me a hold. It's holding its breath.
Here, give it to a man of experience.
Anyway, it goes on. But hello, that was from the
Wow.
80s in Australia. Frigging Cabbage Patch Child. It goes on. This is a reference for all the Aussies out there if you want to check it out. But if you want to check it out on YouTube, it's called Around the Twist. And that was the season 1, episode 4, the Cabbage Patch. Cabbage Patch Fib is what it's called. So, like, that's pretty
I'm writing
crazy.
this
That's
down.
just so fucking
That's
random.
incredible.
We were being programmed as toddlers here in Australia. We didn't even friggin' know. It was just another episode. But yeah, that really blew our minds. And I'm
Mm.
sure for all the Aussies, they're going to be like, no fucking way.
Yeah, and if anyone knows any other little, gems from the 80s or 90s, leave it in the comments. Because we also had the Cabbage Patch Kids in the 80s, right? Like the doll phenomenon, like that was
Yep.
that was massive. Like
Yep.
that was huge. So
Do you
there
know
was
there's
a lot of,
something very sinister about that?
there's a lot of
Mhm.
I
programming
mean, there's a
going
lot
on.
of sinister. Yeah, shall I give you a little bit of?
Please.
Shall I give you a really dark one? Okay, so like with most toys, they break, and what you do with a Cabbage Patch doll is you send it back to the manufacturer. If they couldn't fix it, if it wasn't financially viable to fix it, they return the damaged doll to you with a death certificate.
What? No way.
Yeah.
Get fucked.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I've got
That's
a
crazy.
copy of one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all barking mad.
Wow.
Absolutely, it's really dark. The Babyland Hospital where you can
Been
still
there.
go and watch a live birth. Have you?
I have. It
You've
was
been there?
closed. It was closed when we got there, but yeah, it's in Georgia in the USA.
Yeah, in Georgia. Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, inside the floor, it's like a Masonic temple.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and a whole wall of photographs of celebrities that have been there. I mean, Donald Trump, John Travolta, anyone you ever thought could have possibly have been cloned or had sold their soul or was connected to the underworld in Hollywood or, America's kind of Sinister, Dark Side. Anyone connected at all with that, they're there. There's a photograph of them there saying, wow, brilliant, loved my visit. And it's just bizarre.
Isn't it interesting that we call it the underworld?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why I said
The
that.
underworld.
Because it's all underground, man.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tunnels
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Tunnels,
Oh.
yeah. Vacuum trains, yeah.
Vacuum trains, yeah. I saw that
Mm,
interview you did. That was interesting.
yeah, yeah. It blew my mind a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, summarize what happened. What did I miss?
Well, I interviewed someone called, and I'm going to say
Giles,
his name wrong.
Giles or
Yeah, but it's pronounced
Gilly-
Giles.
Giles, yeah.
Giles Tessier. His mum was Machine Gun Molly, who was quite sort of, quite well,
Sounds like a
quite well
gangster.
known.
Is she like a
Yeah, she
gangster?
wasn't, but she was sort of,
Wow.
accused of being one. And there's quite a bit of stuff on Machine Gun Molly, but he'd worked out that he was in a subway station when he was a kid, and he was looking at the map of the network of trains and the tracks, the underground as we call it here. And he saw the shape. He saw a shape of a star fort, and then he started lining up different underground maps with different cities and finding the same shape appearing. And he believes that these star forts were all connected by vacuum trains all across the world that you could get from one to another in seconds.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and that they were, centers of incredible energy. But he started looking at all of these underground tunnels all over the world and seeing that you could line them up to the shape of a star fort every single time, every single one.
Very interesting,
It
isn't it?
kind of blew my mind,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, and the whole Eiffel Tower thing.
Mm,
I've been chatting with him on Facebook actually, Paula, our mutual friend who
yeah,
actually wrote
yeah,
a chapter for your new book, link below.
yes, yes, she did.
Yes, so I might do a chat with Giles and that will guy Giles, I'll say in the future. So, but yeah, that's interesting because I remember seeing there's photos of the New York subway, like the old subway, and it's literally like this circle that looks like it's got tubes in it. So it's
Yeah,
Well,
interesting to
my
feel.
my super soldier told me that that's how he and they traveled, by the way. That is very
Wow,
much alive and kicking today, and it took him
really?
minutes, seconds to minutes to get across the world. Mhm.
Wow.
we never see
Okay,
these
I
people
didn't know.
traveling, do you?
That
How many times have you seen these people travel? You see Air Force One take off now and again, but
It's,
and the president's going in there, but you don't see them. You don't.
everyone has got a phone, right? So there's traffic jams two,
Mm,
3 times a day in every city. Are you telling me that no one ever has ended up next to someone famous and filmed? Like it never,
exactly.
ever, ever, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
they're not up
Exactly.
here with
So
us. They've got their own network.
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So why don't we see them? We never see them traveling. We see the car leave, like here we'll see, Buckingham Palace might leave with, a convoy of people,
Yeah.
and Charles is in one of the cars. But where does it go then? We don't really see that. And that could be anybody. That could just be a double
Could
in
be
there.
anyone with big ears, right?
Exactly, and a taste for blood. It could be anyone, couldn't it? We don't know, do we? But you're quite right. We don't see them travel.
We
They don't
don't,
seem to experience traffic jams
unless they
But
go
the
to
way that
hello,
we
space,
do.
right?
we don't even see the military travel anymore. Bam, when I was a
No,
kid, like I used to see military convoys go through often in different parts of Australia. Just, they'd go through the streets. Like you would see them.
mm,
It was much more obvious when I was growing up. Now, I don't think I've seen, an army convoy friggin' decades. Like it feels like for a long
No, I
time.
mean, unless they're at a
mm.
natural disaster trying to stop supplies and people
Well,
helping their friends, that you
we
don't see.
barely see them then anyway. We barely see them. They're never at natural disasters, but then
No.
they certainly don't seem to operate on the surface anymore, is what I'm saying.
Mm.
Mm.
And
It's
I mean, it's
noticeable.
interesting. Like, do these vacuum tube trains go underneath the ice wall, right? Do they go out to
Mm.
outer realms? Is that the real rocket? You know?
Yeah, I think we've been taught to look up, and there's nothing going on up there. We need to be looking down.
Yeah, 100%.
Totally.
Now, listen, before we get off this topic, because I really want to show everyone at home the thing about the population. I just want to go back for a second, if that's all right, guys, to the topic of China. I just have got two little videos that I wanted to show because I really want like people to see like what's actually happening. And if you're talking from just China, it's only one example, and I would say it's happening in every single nation across the realm. And it's definitely worth us observing right now, that information coming out. Yeah. So
Yeah, and
let's
as
have
you
a
watch
little
this, guys, just think about how many cities or malls you've been in, how many shops are suddenly empty.
Yeah, and I'm only going to play a few minutes, like, or maybe even a minute or so, but just so we can hear it and we can actually take this information in.
China's population in several programs, and consistent said that it's
Wikipedia.
absolutely not the official 1.4 billion, and it's no more than 100 million. And also, I don't want to come across as
100 million.
sensational by making
Million.
unsubstantiated claims. That said, a number of viewers have written to me, sharing their thoughts and information on the matter. I decide to finally confront the question head on. China's real population is not anywhere near 800 million either. It's somewhere between 300 and 400 million. Yes, you heard that right. China's actual population may be only a fraction of the official 1.4 billion. I believe we need a two-step approach to estimate China's real population. First, we must rectify China's real population before the pandemic. And then we must determine China's real death toll during COVID. So first things first, what is China's population before the pandemic? In 2018, the Russians estimated that China's actual population may be between 500 million and 800 million. A Russian expert noted that China's population in 1945, during the nationalist rule, was 490 million. After the Communist Party implemented the Great Leap Forward, which resulted in the Great Famine and the subsequent Cultural Revolution, causing countless deaths and injuries, followed by decades of the one-child policy, it's impossible that China's population surged to 1.4 billion. Other Russian experts added up the publicly available urban population of every Chinese city and county and got only 280 million people. And based on the traditional urban-rural population ratio of 1:1, they estimated China's actual population being around 560 million. Even considering China's unique circumstances, they say that the population should not exceed 800 million. So, and then Japanese scholars have done research based on China's table salt consumption, arable land, and international grain purchases, and concluded that China's real population was between 800 and 900 million. In my December 14th, 2024 program, which was cut based on my October 8th live stream, I showed you China's real population before the pandemic was between 695 million to 890 million. My logic was straightforward. It is that, well, 35 years ago, China and India's population was only 270 million people apart. In 1990, India had 870 million people, while China had a population of 1.1 billion. In the next 30 years, India's fertility rate averaged 3. That means every woman on average gives birth or gave birth during that 30 years to 3 children, while China's official fertility rate was only half of India's at 1.7. Therefore, mathematically, it's impossible that India, a much younger country with double the fertility, still has a smaller population than China does in a span of 30 years. So using AI and official CCP fertility rate, I came up with 890 million Chinese population for the year 2020. However, if I use Dr. Yi Fuxian, a renowned expert on Chinese demographics, if I used his fertility rates, China's population in 2020, before the pandemic, was only 695 million. So you see, my calculation The studies conducted by the Russians and the Japanese overwhelmingly point China's population before the pandemic at somewhere between 600 million and 800 million or 900 million, but it's around 800 million. And there's another expert who agrees with our number. A Chinese YouTuber by the name of Li Muyang, who has 1 million subscribers, disclosed in his March 1st and March 8th programs information he received from one of his fans. This fan has been working for the WHO for decades and does data collection and analytic work. He has been studying China's population for a while. And in 2020-2021, this fan of Mr. Li tried to repeat the Russian study by adding up all official population data at local levels. But he wasn't able to do so because many of the local governments had stopped releasing demographic data, and some even fabricated the information. So he wasn't able to finish his study, but he concluded that China's population before the pandemic was 750 million.
You want me to keep going?
No, I think that's
right.
good. Like,
So in summary, where she goes is
So-
she basically says after the pandemic, we're looking at around 100 to 200 million in China.
and is that because of pandemic-related unalivings?
Yes, that is that. And also just there seems to be a lot of disappearances. And let's add
Oh,
the
yeah.
Falun Gong practitioners
Falun
and
Gong,
the
yeah.
and the organ harvesting market and the continual brutality of the regime. Like essentially we're looking at a very, very massively considered smaller population than what China is
I
renowned
mean,
for.
even if she's sitting at 700 million, that's still 500 million people under what they say.
Yep, exactly.
That's massive, right? But
I
this
mean, it's
is the
pretty
thing, like,
crazy.
but they tell us, right? Like they told us since the 80s, one child policy.
Yeah.
How can the biggest country, like the most populous country in the world, do that when you're only allowed to have one child, when basically you're told you need to halve the population every generation?
100%. 100%. And look, when I was in China, not only was it completely notably empty, like so obviously notably empty that but when you would go to like because they're night eaters, so the night market is where you go to eat. So when you go to any of those places, plus, and not that we went in, but plus all the fast food takeaway sort of McDonald's places, like they're actually like operated by people like in their 70s, at 60s or 70s. It's not a job for young teenagers in China. It's a job for sort of like retired,
Aging
like
population.
definitely they're picking up the slack of the missing youth, 100%. So crazy, right? I mean, just to really take it home. And then I just want to show one more clip on the same topic.
All say you want to come to Shanghai to start your careers. Let me show you what Shanghai looks like now. Look at this massive shopping mall. Such a huge space, and there's no one here. There are so many stores open, but no customers. What's going on? This huge mall, and I'm the only one here. There's a street full of food stalls. Looks like a big setup, but not a single person in sight. Just look at this place. So big, yet completely empty. Can you believe this is Shanghai? One of China's major cities? It feels like an empty city. Most of the shops here are closed. It used to be nearly impossible to find a storefront, but now they're all shut down. The biggest mystery of 2025 is, where have all the people gone? Where are the customers? Where did China's 1.4 billion people go? I just went to a street food stall, and there were no customers. The vendors outnumber the people. The stall owner told me there haven't been many people lately, because everyone's gone home to buy groceries and cook. But when I went to the market in the evening, the owner there told me the same thing. There weren't any shoppers. No one knows where everyone has gone. So where exactly are all the people? This can be considered the voice of many people in China. Starting in 2025, many have noticed that there are fewer people on the streets. In fact, in some bustling cities, not a single person can be seen, which may feel quite strange.
The holiday's already over. Where have all the people in Beijing gone? I don't know if you've noticed, but there are no people on the streets in Beijing. There's nobody in malls, nobody on the streets, nobody anywhere. I feel like there are fewer and fewer people in Beijing, but I just don't know where they've all gone.
It's March 7th, 9:30 a.m. right now. I'm standing on Wangpu Jing pedestrian street in Beijing. As you can see, there are very few people on the street. Very, very few. As we walk north, the number of people will get even smaller, especially around the department store area, which is wider than the main streets in some other cities. So when it's this empty, it really feels open and deserted.
Oh, sorry. Well,
Oh.
anyway.
Anyway, so I don't know if you heard, Guy, but Kelly was
Yeah.
there last year, and she reported back, like, and I never even heard it, but she reported back that China was empty.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, I mean, it's quite astounding. Like Beijing and Shanghai are like their major. But Shanghai is one of the world's most famous shopping destinations. It's epic. The last time I was in Shanghai and Beijing, I was like 13 years old, and it was back those malls. Like it was so coveted, you couldn't even get a store. It was back to back. Like you were really, it was really obviously massively full, and now. It's like those ghost towns that are sort of everywhere. 1,300 ghost towns in China,
City.
and now also the biggest cities. The same thing's happening in the biggest cities. So, and actually, after that video, there's another one I won't show, but if anyone's interested to do this sort of research, the next one was on Russia, which was exactly the same story. Where have all the people gone? You know, and like I think if I actually started deep diving on this topic, we would come up with that for pretty much every nation, every culture in the world. Where have all the people gone? So I mean, that's a pretty big question. And when you actually look at it, not from the sort of reset concept, the Tartarian concept, but from our actual reality today, like we're really watching, because you know that's one of the questions. Where did all the people go during the after the last reset, and how did they all get reintroduced? And they just all appeared. Like we're literally watching that right now play out in front of our fucking eyes, and no one even realizes.
No one
Like
sees it.
it's
Yeah.
insanity.
I remember the
what's
last
happening.
time we were in Melbourne. Melbourne looked empty.
It's
And,
deserted.
and literally 2 out of 3 shops were closed. And Melbourne was the same. It used to be a massive shopping centre, and it was empty.
It's really deserted. This Australian cityscapes, at night they're dead. They're just like there's no one there. There's no one there. There's just like
And
so
this
many
is the thing.
empty.
We see all these apartment buildings, but we don't know
Empty.
that there's anyone in them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, when we were in Prague last year, when we went before the Bosnia trip, we were walking. Have you been to Prague, Guy? Have you been through Prague?
No.
So it's like an extraordinary old realm, tourist hotspot. And it really is quite an astounding sight. But every single building in Prague, in the city of Prague, was empty. I mean, like hundreds of thousands of windows and massive, and just there was no one living there. And then you like to travel outside of the city, it so quickly becomes sparse. Like you drive for maybe a couple of Ks and yes, it's built up and there's lots of houses, but then it's really sparse again. And this seems to be really, so then we have to ask the question, like this isn't a result of death. Like have there been a major recall of actors or a major recall of some other version of humanity that have just returned clones
Yeah.
that have just returned that have been returned? Like what has gone on? Because it used to be busy. I mean, I used to go out in Melbourne when I was a teenager. It was busy. Like it was busy. Like something has happened, and I don't think it's because of death. What do you guys think?
I'm instantly thinking they've been moved somewhere else.
So
That's the first thing that came into my
who
head.
are they? Who are they though? Like what are they? Are they just
Well, I
normal
guess
humans?
that no, I think they're the people we refer to as NPCs. They're the people that
Let's talk
we will
about that
never be
more.
able to wake up.
Okay, let's talk. What is your definition of NCPs? Like, what does that mean to you?
I think that I think that they are people that, and this is just my opinion. I'm still learning and researching this. I believe that an NPC is someone that is a descendant from a Cabbage Patch baby.
Ooh.
They are the result of 5 generations ago. The grandparent being both grandparents being cloned, being clones, and that is why they don't have that feeling in them, that the ability to question things, the lack of concentration at school where you would stare out the window because none of it made sense and you couldn't engage, and
Well,
not taking part in
I kind of did that.
Yeah,
but that's it, isn't it? You didn't want to know when they offered a medical intervention in 2020. You didn't want to know. You smelt a rat. You look up at the sky and you see these trails of condensation, and they don't look right. You look at people on TV and you spot things that seem out of place. You start to question things. I think that's an ability that only people that carry the information in their DNA of what went before are able to do. And I think that the rest are NPCs. Whatever information you share with them, it will go in one ear and out the other, or over their heads. You could show them all of the statistics on side effects of different medical interventions, the death rates, and so on. You could show them it all, and they would willingly go back tomorrow and get another one stuffed in their veins. And I sorry.
No, go. I interrupted.
So I think that there are two different people walking this realm. One is someone who is a direct descendant of human cloning. They've lost that connection. It's not there. It's so diluted. It's not really there. And then you've got people who perhaps one parent or both were actual people from the old world, and we've got this information with us, and we carry it. We've just got to access it. And so I think it's a lot easier to pick up a group of NPCs, people that don't question anything and can't question anything, and move them to another place, kind of wipe them and start again. We would kick up a fight. We would find a way of telling everybody. We would be too much trouble. They wouldn't want to do it with people like us and the people that watch this channel. It would be an absolute bloody nightmare. We're going to retaliate. We're not going to comply. So I think that's it. I think that the people that were put into the asylums a couple of 100 years ago are us.
Yeah.
And and they repopulated.
That's really interesting, because obviously one of the most well-known descriptions of an SCP is that they don't have any internal chatter. They don't have that. They don't have that voice that works within inside them, where they're constantly beating themselves up and self-criticizing and self-loving. They don't have that mental process going on. It's almost like there's a different, the way that our left and right part of our brain is, wiring and firing. There's a difference there, isn't it? There's it's like they're not connected into those polarities. So I wonder, I'm just curious in the audience, if anyone, because one thing I was looking for today, is there anyone who's actually talking about someone who's gone missing who they know? Does anyone actually know anyone who's got, when we're talking about China, all the videos I can find are people questioning it like we are, where's all the people? But none of them are saying, wow, 5 families in my neighborhood disappeared and no one knows where they are. There seems to be no alert. There's no one worrying or question where have all these, if China, if a few 100 million people disappeared in China, that people are making videos that they're actually there's no where are the people, surely they must know someone who's disappeared. Or is there a complete disconnection from their world, the clone baby world, and our world? It's just, it's a real trip when you start to think about it.
There is a complete disconnect, isn't there? We've all spoken to people, where you blah, 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 and they just wig out, right? They don't, it's like they just short circuit, and then they just talk like you said nothing. They just ignore you, right? And talk about the news or something. And if these are all, NPCs that have disappeared, then yeah, we wouldn't necessarily know. And what's the programming? I was just thinking, like, we've got this story of the Anunnaki, and they come down and they found the native hominids, and then they genetically altered them, and we sort of get this story that those hominids were like apes, right? Like hairy, chimpanzees or whatever. Maybe they were just us. And maybe the people that got maybe the whole genetic thing was to create the NPCs, right? The controllable population.
I mean, they're experts, masters at moving populations about. Like, recount that excellent piece of information you shared, Cam, with me about the Native Americans.
Yeah.
Like, that was just, yeah.
Geez, gonna expose it. Yeah, well, I mean, and we're seeing it right now, by the way. Population, especially, in your land over there, Guy, that or at least we see it on the news, and we're seeing it in Australia and everywhere. So back in the 1500s, there was a slave trade from the Philippines to the Americas. And they basically, for 100 years or so, they imported slaves to America. And if you have a look at a picture of a Filipino and put it next to a picture of a Native American, they look pretty much the same. And so the concept is that when they got to America, the black population, which would have been the Moors, I think, they were the natives, right? And they got taken over. And then this big narrative, then slaves were imported. And then in the 1800s, they did, I can't remember all the details. I'll have to do a video on it, but they basically brought out like something that the Filipino slaves could sign and say that they were Native Americans, and they got given land grants and things. And so now we have this narrative that the natives there, the blacks, are the slaves, and the descendants of the slaves are the natives. They've
Native Indians.
completely flipped the script. And please don't hate me, guys. This is just research, but this is the thing. I mean, and we can look at this in every country because, even though there's all these stories, that natives have of, going back hundreds or thousands of years, they're just stories. It's the same that happens to us when we go to school. We get given stories, we're told they're true, and that becomes our narrative and our viewpoint of the world. So this and I think when you throw resets into the mix, we've got to wonder, well, how do we have these populations of natives that, like in Australia, right? Like, what do they say? 140,000 years or something, right? It doesn't make sense in our view of the world with these cyclical resets.
Yeah.
So, and I often think, in like 50 years, will Australia always be known as a Chinese, Asian country full of Asians? Will the UK always, be thought of as always an Islam country?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, and the problem with this is with the narrative we're seeing, there doesn't seem to be many lands left for the white people, right? The Caucasians. We're just apparently not allowed anywhere at the moment, apart from Poland. But it's an interesting narrative, right? Like, how much do we really know? Well, we can't know more than our own lifespan.
We're kind of the least, we're the most poorly designed race as well. If you take the typical Caucasian, we know how important sunlight is to us and how important it is to grow and for us for vitamin D, and yet prolonged exposure can cause cancer, skin cancer. So it seems to me that the reason that Caucasians don't have, or it appears that we kind of don't have a home, is because I kind of thinking that we don't really belong. We're not designed to live above ground.
Oh, above ground. Oh, interesting. He's dropped a bomb.
Yeah, well, okay, so first of all, on the topic of the NCPs, like, it is a bit of a trip if we're looking at the reduction of the population to not know anyone who's gone missing. That's a trip. I can't quite work that one out. And then if we look at the population reduction Or would you say maybe, yeah, but it has to be a reduction because we've seen it with our own eyes that the population has physically changed. And then we link this to how masterful they are at moving populations through. And then the World Trade Fair and the introduction of all the natives at the World Trade Fair. That was weird. And then you look at sort of like, the rising of the Jewish culture. And, I started to, I cannot believe I haven't watched this. For anyone out there, Battle for Europa, call out to Kara, I cannot believe I have never seen this. But, it's really mind-blowing to see how annihilated in that process were all the white Russian people got annihilated. Like, I mean, probably 1 billion people at this moment, then all the white, well, for the sake Christians, I guess, they really got wiped out big time during this process. I mean, it's quite, and then, we're watching videos, Guy, on London the other day and looking at what it looked like in the 80s down the streets of London compared to now, where it looks basically like a third world nation full of, Black people and Islamic people, like the whole lovely notion of that UK picketed white fence and everything's in order and everything's proper and their little veggie gardens, like that is not what it looks like anymore. So it's an interesting thing that we're watching playing out here. Really, really interesting. And we're getting conscious of it. So we get to like view it now from sort of as the observer watching this like really big reshuffling and deduction and removal of the human population.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. They are depopulating. But where are we going? And sorry, where are the people going? And I just had a thought. Yeah, I think so. And you see, if we're clearly, me personally, I'm clearly not designed to live above ground. I have a problem with long exposure to sunlight. I burn fast. So, I've not evolved. Clearly, me as a species has not evolved to meet my environment, as Darwin would suggest. That never happened in my case. So that also marries up to the fact that, and people often ask me this, where did, during Tartaria, let's say the Tartarian reign or the millennial reign of Christ, whatever you want to call it, where did they all live? Did they all live in these star forts, or did they live in these incredible buildings that have no toilets or, World's Fairs? And I think the reason that we can't find rows and rows of Tartarian houses is because I think they lived underground. They came up, but actually, that's where that's where they were living.
Do you know the narrative of the tall whites?
Yes.
Yeah, and they apparently came from the North, right, Hyperborea. And we do have all like the Nordic countries and Russia and that, and they're all, white Caucasian people. Like, is that the inner Earth?
Yes, it could be.
And it could have different, sun radiation, whatever it is, solar radiation, or maybe we're just evolved for the vapor canopy.
Yeah.
There's lots of stories like Gulliver's Travel where the beings lived on floating or like airborne kingdoms.
Yeah.
Like I think one was called like Laputa. Laputa was one of their names. So I mean, we have got visual accounts of like whole kingdoms coming down on this flat disc, moving. But yeah, I mean, underground, like certainly would also make sense. I mean, certainly their buildings, just what's obvious to us now is mostly underground, whether mud flood or not, it's still mostly underground. I mean, maybe there's, we always say there's been a mud flood, but, maybe their buildings were always half submerged. I don't know.
Yeah, right. That was
possible.
Yeah.
How they got up and down. I mean, it's interesting what they've, apparently found in Egypt recently, right? Under the Great. As soon as I saw that, I thought, that looks like an energy device collecting energy and sending it underground, like to power a population, maybe. So, yeah, right. We're all
So what if that is where I'm not saying that they lived underground all the time, But what I think is it's quite possible that at certain times of the year, certain times of the day, that they weren't above ground. That they
Well,
came, they came out, they they
mm,
traveled around the world, but also, perhaps they spent a proportion of the time, maybe a large proportion of the time, underground.
well, if you think that, this realm has cyclical resets, I guess apart from the Great Flood, right? That's probably not a good time to be underground, but being underground would shelter you from a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah,
And so why
yeah,
wouldn't they be
absolutely.
built constantly and constantly built upon? Because everything on the top, it just gets destroyed. A lot of it every reset, right? So underground would just keep growing. It's an
I watched
Yeah,
a video the other day. I'm just trying to find it, but maybe it's too hard. And they were just showing all of the sealed doors, like as in
Yes.
across the realm, as in
mm,
like in mountains and hills and rock
mm.
outcrops, like sealed shuts with stone, like sealed. Like there was hundreds of them,
Yeah, yeah, and big metal
like.
doors and stuff that are locked. Yeah.
And then the Bosnian
Yeah.
pyramid had do you remember what that inscription was at the Bosnian pyramid, Cam? About we're sealing the doors
Oh,
and we're
what
not.
was it?
Do you
Yeah,
remember it? But the same thing.
yeah, yeah. That something about they are coming or something's coming. We're sealing the doors. People will be back when the time is right. Everything will be open and turned back on again, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that's interesting because they've started excavating all the tunnels. I don't even know how long ago, sort of 6 or 7 years, I think. So maybe the time is right? And they're going to clear it
Do you
out.
find that, like, anywhere that has anything like that, there's been a war?
Well, I mean, Bosnia's been smashed for like 100
Yeah,
years, man. Yeah.
intentionally, I think. I think all of
And
these things, and
I was going to say all of China's pyramids are behind the communist wall, right?
yeah,
And we
I
bulldoze
think that
ours in Australia.
You
yeah,
what?
over here we just let anything that's any good. It's either government purpose
Man,
or it's off
Yeah.
limits, or they let
Yeah.
it rot.
Yeah.
in
They let it rot
Australia,
before.
they knocked over the Gympie Pyramid to put
Yeah.
a,
They
a
bulldoze.
road through it. And this is literally in a country town where there's nothing but land. They could have put the road anywhere and they fought the public on it
Mm,
and just bulldozed it to put a road on it.
yeah,
All right, so we
yeah, but
definitely there's a massive underground side to all of this. That to me is the only explanation as to where all these people are being returned
Well,
to or going
hmm.
to. Do you remember the stories about the 50s where apparently they did this big they did this big siphoning of all the genius and high IQ people in the world and apparently like
Um,
sent them to Mars and started a colony there. Have you heard this
oh, that was the one
concept?
that Barack Obama apparently was involved with.
I don't know. No, I don't know about that link, but I know
Yeah,
that I've heard countless
I have
reports
heard
from,
that.
whistleblowers that talk about them siphoning the population in the 50s and basically took the highest IQ out of the population. So being that Mars isn't up there and it's probably like this way or this
Sideways.
way,
Hmm.
like I mean, it makes you feel like the human race is more like we are all a breeding program. We're a complete and utter, we are a big scale cloning breeding program where they're able to just remove, any type or any combination of population or culture, almost like at a whim. So their movement of population has to be connected to the underground. And like this like thing that just makes it happen, whether it's like they've got already a telepathic overseer, or they've already got it's like it's an instruction in their brain and they just get up and go. Like it's weird, man. I think if we think about this deeply, it's really friggin' weird.
Oh, it's a very strange life, man, to live in a world where the game is to not get as poisoned as you can and to avoid the government
Being
unaliving you.
taken
It's
underground.
crazy, but I mean, the fact that, it looks very likely that we're under a dome, I mean, what does that mean? Are we the only domed land? Are we an experiment? We've got all these stories from the past that, we're the result of experiments or genetic manipulation, you know.
Yes.
And I guess the big question is in the end is what's the outcome? What are they trying to produce? Because I
We're a
mean,
slave
if it's the
race, aren't we?
NPC, well, if it's the NPCs that are disappearing, it's an interesting twist, right? Like, why
It
wouldn't it
is.
be the thinkers that are disappearing if they're trying to create a slave race?
It's like we're at that
Because
computer
you'd leave
game
the thinkers
concept.
here.
Yeah.
What if they're leaving the thinkers here because something's coming?
Or because
Get
the
all the
thinkers,
Oh,
or because the thinkers are the one that creates reality forward. It's the thinkers that are able to project forward
yes,
the version of this simulation or whatever it is that we live in, that we have to remain in order to do that.
for it to
And
exist, to be the observer. Yeah,
I mean, that
interesting.
conceptually could work.
I hope it's that. But I guess if there's something coming, if there is a cataclysm coming or something, or it's going to be, an apocalypse, or maybe you get rid of the NPCs and take them somewhere so you can start a new infrastructure and get things up and running somewhere else, and leave the people that will not comply up on the surface.
But the NCPs, by the nature of our description, don't have the faculty to generate reality.
Yeah,
Like they can't actually generate.
I'm not thinking.
Yeah, they can't bring consciousness and focus together to generate reality. They can't do it. They don't have the energetic means, that polarization, that creative surge. So, like, if we didn't exist here on the surface, who would be creating reality forward? Who would be generating it? Who would be? And then let's just add into the concept, the mix, that the underground version of this earth may not have the same timeline as us, as in time's a
No.
construct of this reality. They might be 40,000 years in our future. So the underground earth could be ahead of us by far.
Oh, totally, especially if they're not having to go through resets, right?
So I mean, like, it's a slippery topic when you start to see the earth with like an above and a below, like upside down reality, like, and what is time when that happens, and who sits where, and do they look at us as if we're like thoroughly part of their past, or and is the manipulation of us somehow them trying to correct their present, which is a lot like that TV show we watched, Campbell. And that's really good, everyone. Highly recommend. It's called Travelers. It was really well made. We really enjoyed it. But that would be the sort of similar concept. They traveled from the future to manipulate the past, our present, in order to change the outcome that they were experiencing, which would then make sense with what's with all the manipulation in games, what's with all this like delusion and I don't know. I'm just theorizing here, just adding another.
Okay, yeah. So the manipulation is them trying to insert a different timeline, basically a different narrative, right? That to change their present. I mean, it's an interesting concept.
I mean, it's
if you think about it.
Go.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I don't believe we are spinning, but if we take the narrative that we are on a spinning ball and it's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, then the closer you are to the center of the ball. So if you were at least several miles down into the ground, then if it's rotating, then you're going to be traveling at a faster speed than the people on the surface and the people in the air. Like a satellite, for example, up in space is going to be traveling at a completely different speed to us. So their concept of time is going to be different to ours.
Yeah. Well, all of
so
our
they would be in the
time
future.
It's all based on the sky. And if you can't see the sky, then what's it based on? How do you know how old you are, right? How long's a year?
Yeah. If
That
it's
was like
right,
that video you saw, Kelly, about the guy who went
I was about to say this was way back a couple of decades ago. Maybe it was like really like early 1900s. Anyway, professor, and decided to explore the notion of time. He was fascinated with time. Went 40 feet underground into a cave and stayed there with no light and nothing, just no light. And he wanted to see how long what would happen to him, because without the light, he has zero sense of time, right? And yeah, but like there were people, he didn't know this, but there were people observing him. And the reports of that experiment is that very quickly he lost his mind because he had no sense of, there was no container binding him to anything. He was basically just in darkness and no sense of time whatsoever. And when he came out, so what he perceived as every day, he would mark a mark. So that when he came out of the experiment, he'd be able to see how much time had passed. And so by the time he came out and went up, he was really quite mentally disturbed and unhinged, definitely. But his amount of days compared to the amount of days that actually happened on the surface were like, there was a disparity of like 60 days. So, I mean, that's how warped his sense of time got.
And that was over about 300 days or something, wasn't it? Just under 300.
So it's very effortless to actually change time.
And he also changed his sleeping pattern, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. That's right. So naturally, his new circadian rhythm, like actually set itself. It started, and he would stay awake for 36 hours, and then sleep for 3, and then stay awake for 36 hours. And this was his organic circadian rhythm with no light. So that's just all interesting. When we think about time and what's binding us to
Maybe
it.
that's why they're all crazy, right? Because they're from underground. Lost their mind.
Or maybe they weren't crazy. Maybe they're the people that aren't. Maybe it's us. Maybe we're crazy.
Well, they have light. I'm certain they have light source.
Yeah,
definitely.
phosphorescence and things, I think.
Yeah, we just don't know, but, you know...
I was going to say, look at the bottom of the ocean, right? Where there is no sunlight, or all the animals and plants make their own light.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So,
and some of those jellyfish and some of the creatures you see at the bottom of the oceans, they put on light displays. They're like filled with LEDs, isn't it? Neon lights.
They're having like fish dance parties down there.
Yeah, it is like a rave down there, isn't it?
It is fucking
How
awesome.
is that possible? So why, you know, we've been told that without light there isn't life. You know, without direct sunlight there is no life. That's just not true. Clearly,
complete bullshit. Complete crap.
I mean, how do you grow a mushroom? We were talking about mushrooms earlier. How do you grow a mushroom? Feed it full of shit and keep it in the dark.
Yeah. Just do what the government do to the population, mate.
Yeah.
Well,
we're all mushrooms.
on the topic of the ocean, this is the other side note I wanted to add to the next conversation, because I don't know if anyone else has been following this, but our two things are happening simultaneously, just like the population. One is the shorelines of many countries have disappeared, and water is appearing all over the realm from underground. So let's just have a look at that for a second. Just side note, just something that's been happening in this crazy world of ours.
But the water has left Fifi Island, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's about to happen, but pray for Thailand, man. We just had an earthquake 4 days ago. Now the sea is gone. Y'all, I don't know what the, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on or what's about to happen, but we gonna see, I guess. Let's get it. Listen, man, I don't know.
That was just a tiny little clip about Thailand, but that same clip is happening simultaneously all over the place.
Yeah.
I won't show them all.
Turkey and a few other ones. And then we're getting all these floods. Like the sort of best one to point at was Chicago. Did you see that when it flooded and then it froze and all the cars got frozen in the water? And they said that was a burst water main. And it literally flooded all of Chicago, like suburbs and everything, in like 4 feet of water, which I don't think was a water main. And if we look into the stories of the Great Flood, it says that the water came up from below. So is this what we're seeing? Like Greece is flooded at the moment. Like there's flooding everywhere. I mean, there's a lot of rain going on, but is that all this weather manipulation to try and cover the fact that this water's coming up from underneath?
It's so coming up from underneath. Like, check this one out.
Expected happened when this man started filming a strange anomaly. The video captures an amazing stream of water appearing right in the Arabian desert. There is a drought in this region, but over the past year, more than 50 such springs have already appeared here. And what is most mysterious Along with the water, a huge number of fish are coming out of the ground. However, the authorities stubbornly refuse to comment on this phenomenon, and all mentions of it are trying to hide. Researchers trying to prove that deep under the desert sands, there are ancient underwater springs are subjected to ridicule. But one of these springs has been studied with the help of a robot diver. Images taken during the dive revealed an astounding system of underground bodies of water.
Yeah, well,
sorry,
I mean,
that
we're
one.
not, I was going to say we know in Australia that we've got one of the biggest water reserves in the world underneath us, Great Artesian Basin. And it's a massively dry continent, right? Kind of the same as the Sahara. So,
I mean, it's trippy. It's trippy. If you watch like World of Science, we watch every week. I don't know if you watch that guy. It's excellent. J Dream has put us onto that. It's just basically a weather channel. They do a 6-minute video every week, and it's people just send in videos from their backyard. So you get a really good oversight of what's happening on the realm as far as that's concerned. And there is literally water flooding everything. Like everything, and there's oceans disappearing everywhere, and these big water sprouts popping up from the oceans, and then there's like, you know, hardcore rain events, but the main like flooding is coming from unknown sources.
underground, the Sahara's flooded, and then we've got the sinkhole phenomenon, which has been going on for 2 or 3 years now.
So, I mean, I don't know, that's random right there. We've got the oceans disappearing and the waters reappearing. We've got the population disappearing. You know, like it's just there's a big shift, and it seems to be very managed and very deliberate. Like there's a massive like worldwide play out going on right now, in every single way. It's just quite a phenomenon to watch. Honestly, I sit back and just think, wow, how privileged are we to be able to watch, like literally watch what feels like a reset at like going on in front of our eyes. Like here we are spending all our time studying these resets and trying to work them all out. And we're literally in the middle of one and observing one actually playing out in real time for us.
I'm so pleased you said that, because that is the last chapter of my first book. I was just trying to say to people, it's going on now. You know, you've just got to listen. And the World Economic Forum have been saying for years, welcome to the Great Reset. It's all over their website. And if you want to know how to beat a reset, you need to understand what happened the last time they did it.
Yeah.
And then we know what we're up against. We know the tricks. We know the signs. We're seeing the weather modification, aren't we? We're seeing the flooding and the flooding, and obviously the shorelines as well that are expanding, aren't they? As the sort of water levels seem to be dropping, and that, as you said, Turkey, I think, is perhaps one of the places where it's been most significant. It's been done before, and in order for us to recognise that, we need to really understand how they went about it last time. You can see it repeating itself. It keeps repeating itself. It's a fucking cycle that goes round and round and round. We've got to stop it. We have to stop it this time.
All right, tell me about that guy. What's in your imagination about doing that?
Well, those people that are on the fence that need to wake up and can wake up, because I accept, like I said earlier on, there are a lot of people that can't. It's not in them. They don't have that DNA, that information in their DNA. It's not there. If we took back control, we could change the world. And it could be something as simple as this. Let's say, for example, we all now, the majority of people on this planet that have the internet and buy things are probably going to use Amazon. How about if we got everybody for 24 hours to boycott something like Amazon? How about we get everybody to boycott a particular bank, an airline, a petrol company?
Facebook.
And we start saying, okay, and next what we're going to do is we're going to stop paying to park our cars. We're going to stop doing this. We're going to stop doing that. It just takes that small spark where we all stand up and say, we're just going to boycott something. We're not going to do anything where we can get arrested or cause problems just yet.
Well, that doesn't
But the
sound
first thing we
fun.
can do is we can make a stand and say, well, what we're going to do today is on next Monday, none of us are going to use a certain shop or a certain online retailer. We're going to boycott them for 24 hours. Now, that's going to have a massive knock-on effect. And then we can say, right, well, what we're going to do the following Monday is we're not going to work. What we're going to do the following Monday is we're all going to pay without paying, park without paying. We're all going to refuse. You try and deal with that amount of parking, fines, and everybody says no, get stuff. We're not going to do it, and just start to chip away, and then within a matter of moments, I am sure that the powers that be, if you like, the parasites, the people ultimately in control, are going to realize they are on the verge now of losing control, and then we just push them over.
Well,
it wouldn't take an awful lot. It can start with something really small. We just all boycott something for 24 hours. We all boycott something and say, this is what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
We are 99%. You can't arrest us for boycotting something, and you can't arrest us for all deciding not to go to work on Monday. We can all ring in sick. There's no law against that. So I think we can change things, but we've got to believe in ourselves and stop fearing that we're going to get in trouble. We're not. No one has authority over us. No one. Not unless you give it to them.
Totally, man.
You know, we report to no one. We answer to no one. We're responsible for ourselves. You know, we can connect to the source and get guidance and you know, speak to shaman and take things like ayahuasca and get help and know the right path. But ultimately, nobody tells us what to do unless we let them. We have to take back our own autonomy. We need to take back our own power, realize that we're powerful, stop being scared. They can't do anything to us. There's too many of us.
Yeah. And I think especially...
There you go. I'll get off my soapbox.
Yeah. Especially if we've got communities, right? Like people that are in physical contact, like just that support to go in and do something is massive. But we've definitely got to, you know, come together and support each other and just stop, like support each other, right? And stop supporting the bloody system that everyone says they don't want to be a part of.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're already fulfilling our mandate. You know, I always get asked the question about, you know, and I ask myself the question about what's the,
Kelly?
Huh?
What are we here for, Kelly?
Yeah, what's the purpose? That's right. It's like we all feel like we have a purpose that we have to figure out, and we're destined for it. And it's all about, you know, serving others and helping and healing. Like everyone I know feels that they have that purpose. And you sort of hit our age, and it's just like if you haven't worked out what that purpose is, or have like a kind of clear pathway that you're on with it, you know, it's hard to not feel a bit like you've failed or you've failed in life. But, you know, upon like really contemplating that question, ultimately, our first purpose is to bring our light down, right? Like we called light workers. We called that. Like we've named ourselves that, by the way. That's something that like came out of our communities. And there's a reason for that. It's because there's something in, and you would probably put it down to a DNA link, Guy, but there's something in us that can't be snuffed out. Like our light, no matter how shit or no matter what's going on in our lives or how terrible we feel about ourselves, that light can never be snuffed out enough for us to be convinced of something that's not true. So that light is already our first mandate, that we came here with that, holding that in us, that we're the vehicle for that. We've hit our mandate. The second one is, you know, becoming unprogrammed, is like stripping back all this bullshit that we've been doing very notably for the last couple of decades. So we've all kind of done that too. So we've already fulfilled two of what I believe our main purposes are. And third, you know, make known the unknown, which we're always in the state of doing when we're truth seekers and also people who wish to have experiences of all of these theories. So to me, the human race is... I don't know if I can say the human race now. I feel like tonight we've basically like
Yeah.
split those in half.
Yeah.
So to me, the light worker, our communities are, you know, doing what they came here to do. Our purpose is to just bring and hold that unsnuffable light. And maybe that's what did not happen last time. Maybe we are the solution for that. That there somewhere in our, let's take time out of it, or let's bring it in and say our future brought us here to now to alter, to change the outcome of this cyclic reset that seems to be going on this realm perpetually. Like we are the glitch, so to speak, but it's not, but all of our desires to be active in helping others, it's not so much that you have to find this amazing, miraculous potential and career that sort of validates you're on that path, but just the notion of us even having these dialogues today is us fulfilling. What I'm trying to say in summary is that our collective energy present and awake on the surface of this realm today is already altering, changing, and corrupting this reset. We're corrupting it, or our existence is corrupting it. This is what I'm thinking.
I think you're right. I think that was very well put. That is what we're here to do, isn't it? I think that there are people out there that, and like I said earlier on, the ones that stared out of the window at school and always thought that these things didn't make sense or were pointless, and had interests in other things that other people didn't. And I think that is because some people are here carrying this information and have this burning desire and to expose it. And you know, there are so many people that struggle with their mental health, or they get labeled with autism or ADHD, and I think no wonder that they're living in a world that is constantly at odds with itself. That, you know, like you earlier on said, you know, you've got your left and right hemisphere sort of almost having a battle between themselves, and it's because nothing makes sense. And it doesn't make sense because it actually doesn't make sense. It's wrong. What we've been taught's wrong. What's going on is wrong. We know it deep down, and we're trying to tell everybody else. So we're constantly battling in our own minds with even what we're thinking. Like, I'll come out with something random and say, like earlier on, maybe we spent a lot of time underground, or maybe a lot of people were living underground. I don't know, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that civilizations have lived underground, and we're constantly hearing as above, so below, and I burn in the bloody sun, so I've clearly not evolved. But there's these things that you just want to put out there and see if anybody else says, I think that too.
Yeah, welcome to our podcast.
Yeah. It's true, eh? It's true. Like, you know, I mean, what do you say, Campbell, on this topic? Just to add in your piece.
Yeah, Campbell.
Yeah, Campbell.
Yeah. I mean, Campbell. I think my first, I think the first reason we're here is for the self to experience itself, right? Just have experience. Because obviously, if you're one, you can't do anything. And so I think every experience is valid when that's all you're mainly after. But I think we live at a time where, you know, that experience has been used up, right, in this realm. But I also think that we have pole shifts, but I think they're positive to negative. It's not the pole shift they, you know, tell us about on the globe, but we go from positive to negative so that we can have that perspective across lifetimes, right? Of you know, looking at things from, and we can play the baddie, we can play the goodie. So I think it's all just in the end, not a game, but it's just an experience to gain experience, right? And we just happen to have all this stuff going on because we're watching the finale, right? Of this age. And that's cool. So I think we've definitely got to change it, because that's the whole point, is to experience something new and different. And I think that's, you know, why we're here. Like, that sort of goes on with what, you know, Kelly said and you said, is we've got a purpose, right? We've got to shine the light. We're bringing the negative age into the positive age. And that's going to be, you know, cataclysmic, right? The old system has to fall. It's going to freak people out. But that's only if we consent to their story, I think. So I think it's all about experience in the end. I think once we walk through the door of at the end of this life, that it all just becomes a memory, right? The memories of when you're a kid, they're just these things, right? That you're not so attached. Well, at least for me, I'm a weirdo though, right? I don't have much trauma.
Well, it does validate, Cam, the idea that, which we were speaking about a couple of shows ago about memory. And it's a physical experience of something that actually puts the memory into your brain. Like your senses have to be engaging with an actual experience, which gives you a sense of time. So when we were young, we had a lot of physical experiences. So time was a lot longer, a lot slower. And today, because we're in an artificial time loop that's getting more and more replicated, an echo chamber, we don't have the physical experiences anymore. And this generation certainly don't have any physical experiences. And the parents, they model coddle them so they'd never even leave the home anymore, physical experiences. So their sense of time is, and our sense of time is because our physical experiences are dramatically decreasing.
Yeah,
Dramatically.
and that basically makes the whole thing obsolete. If it's just to have experience and we're no longer doing that, then end the game, right?
So that's why time is sped up, because our physical experiences have got less and less and less. We're holding the memories of things less and less and less. And so our experiences of time are speeding up. And that's happening alongside all of the other things that are happening right now. I mean, if you're talking, I'm sorry, I'm going back to China. If you talk about we're talking about a missing almost 1 billion people if they go down to 400 million. And that's happened in record speedy time, as in maybe 48 months, 2 years, 3 years. That is insane, but it's happened. And and our populations are so now online and in this world that our memories are gone. Our brains aren't processing time the same way. It's speeding up. So
and when you're outside of nature, you don't have the natural cycles of the day, right, of time. But we spent 2 weeks on the farm, and time definitely slowed down. When we came back, we were like, "Oh my God, remember 2 weeks ago when we did that? That seems so long ago."
It did.
And we achieved a lot more because we had hardly any screen time, and it was an interesting little experiment. And links below, guys. There is the Jolly Swag Tour is coming up. Hopefully, we'll have a link for you, and you can also come and help on our next Working Bee and help.
Because the whole point
page
of
two.
the whole point why we're pushing this, have the experience with us on the farm and have the physical experience of coming and volunteering and helping us build this, is all about physical memories. That is the key undernote that we are pushing right now. We want to have physical memories with our community, because those physical memories will literally slow time down. They are literally going to reground you into our organic sense of what time could be perceived as. Basically from when, since 2000. We theorized, Guy, that Y2K basically was actually a kickoff for the algorithm technology, which then got the whole, all the technology wiring around the algorithms, which have basically hooked people in, addicted them, and stopped them having physical memories, and poof, time speeding up.
Put us on a repeat cycle where there's no new information, no new, imaginings, no new.
That's what we think.
Creation.
Happened during Y2K. So for us, physical experiences and memories are key now. So we push. Come on, Tartaria Australia.
Yeah,
come on, community.
Want to live longer?
Get your fucking asses out. Make the effort. Fly, ride, drive. Just come, because these physical experiences are quickly evaporating from our worlds. They're quickly evaporating from our timelines. Our time is speeding up, and it's artificial now. We're in an echo chamber. You can't avoid it. So come and have these physical experiences. Remember what it feels like. And also, side note, when you are with 300 people having a physical experience in nature, your wisdom is going to exponentially increase, because we've watched it with the water fast container and the get your shit together container. When you're doing something with people and then it's you come together and talk about it, far out, man, Your level of knowledge and wisdom is so big, it's so quick, it's wiring and firing so much quicker, like in an organic way, that it's becoming your wisdom. So yeah,
Links
promo.
below. Need to get your
Yeah,
shit together.
fucking hell,
Link
man.
below.
Get your
Need to
asses
live longer.
together.
Need experience. Links
What
below.
else are you
Need a new
doing?
book. Link below.
Yeah, it is no good just watching this unfold on the fucking internet. I can tell you that right now. Come and be a part of it.
Yeah, man. Be the change you want to see.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my little spell.
Right.
Thank you, everyone, because
Nice.
we managed to do a spiel for the Get Your Shit Together Out and the Jollies in one show, which we've never pulled off before because we forget.
Do you know why, Kelly?
Wait,
Because we're
Campbell.
getting our shit together.
That is so true, my friend. We are getting our shit. Not as good as Guy's got his shit together. He's
No.
like fucking top of the class right now.
He's 2 books in.
He's 2 books in. God damn it.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah, it's all in the
excellent,
mushrooms.
All right, well,
It's all down to
that's
the
right.
mushrooms.
Well, I think you're
Lion's
gonna.
mane.
What a shame you haven't affiliated with a lion mane guy, because it should be in the links below, and the whole community right now is be like, well, I'm going to try some of that shit.
That might be. I might be.
We love drug taking in our community. We're just like, whoop, someone's recommended a new drug.
Yeah. Oh my God. If you could see the amount of herbal supplements I have on my shelf at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. We're experimenting.
We're experimenting.
Oh yeah.
So look, I think we probably wrap it up, boys, because we're almost at 2 hours.
Wow, is that 2 hours? Holy God.
Ooh, see, there you go. There's that time thing,
Yeah.
that slippy little time thing happening again.
Yeah. It's all relative.
It's all relative.
If you're having fun, it goes a lot quicker.
Oh.
Jeez.
Well,
let's plug it up our theory. Anyway.
Well, it is relative, isn't it?
It is
if
true,
you're doing
though.
something you
Yeah.
don't like, or you're stuck on a long haul flight and it seems to go forever, and if you're at work and you don't like your job and you look up at the clock, it's almost like it's going backwards at some points. But if you're doing something you really enjoy, it's just in the blink of an eye, it's gone. So I think it is relative, and I think what Einstein meant was it's relative to what you are doing when he said time is relative.
Well, that's a very nice way of putting it. That's simple and elegant. That feels like a truth to me.
Thank you very much.
Oh, that's right.
Thanks, man.
And what if the pole shift that we always theorize about is actually happens in the mind? What if the pole shift happens in the mind, where the only true construct we have of polarity is mental in this realm? Just out of curiosity.
Left and right switch.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like if we're the ones projecting reality, is it the realm that experiences some physical movement, or is it us?
Wonder if there's more left-handed babies being born.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Oh, we'll leave that one with you, Guy. You can find out the answer to that.
We'll
know if something.
The third book.
There'll be some sort of new craze where we all start wearing top hats again, and we just start absorbing mercury, and then
I think I may have left my top hat at your house, Kelly. I have to come and get it.
Jeez, Cam. Jeez, mate.
Yeah, that they might do something. That there'll be some sort of craze happen. Something will happen. We'll all start wearing something or doing or taking something, and we'll realize that it's rewriting or erasing our minds.
Well, have you seen the latest fashion craze at the moment?
Oh, this one's perfect for the NCPs, not for our community.
No, wearing jeans with one of the legs cut off. So it's like shorts on one side and jeans on the other. And
why would you do that? You're just undecided on the weather, or
it's very jester. It's very
very also Masonic, isn't it?
Joker and Masonic. Yes.
Well, roll one leg up. Yeah.
And who's that intellectualized individual that wears half suits? Very popular at the moment.
Jordan Peterson.
Yes.
Peterson the Joker.
With their fucking half suits, man. It's similar. It's got the similar vibe. It's a similar vibe. Yep. Well, so they're wearing one leg and cutting the other leg off, and they think they're all dogs and cats. So I mean, like, it's pretty obscure out there right now. But this is not in relationship to us, because that sort of individual nature is not generating an
future.
orgasmic, or yeah, it's not generated, it's not coming from the imagination, right? We know they've been like deeply impacted by programming, deeply impacted. So you can tell whose imagination is playing the game right now, who's got creativity in the game, who's actually interacting from that. So you can tell that's that person. And, you know, like,
Totally, man. We've got rule followers and we've got thinkers, and that's about like,
Yeah.
you got to spot both.
all right, boys, I think 2 hours, that's pretty good. So unless anyone has any final last words to leave with insights, anyone? Cam, Guy?
No, I was trying to think of something there, something
To sound
a
intelligent.
cliffhanger, but I can't. No, it's gone. It's gone. I think I got all of my interesting bits out. I have nothing at the moment, nothing to report.
All right. Very good. Very good. Well, look, everyone, I hope you enjoyed that little chat. That was fun. We covered a few topics there. Very fascinating. Lots of those concepts. Definitely worth following up. Love to hear the comments in the chat on all of those topics, especially if anyone's actually knows someone who's literally gone missing or disappeared or just moved quietly in the middle of the night, or just like, you know, something weird. Has anyone got any weird stories out there to validate any of this? I would love to know.
No, yeah, but as a quick side note, we do have stories of populations that have disappeared.
For sure. Yeah. But surely someone on the fringe knows someone within that disappearing population, unless it's more controlled than we ever imagined. Unless these little individuals have chips in them. They just do what they're told. I mean, maybe there's a little freaking piece of technology that has annihilated their internal chatter.
I mean, Elon Musk came up with his brain chip pretty quick if he came up with it, right? And I think we know inventions come from the inventory, so they all had them for life.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, damn.
Here we
What
go.
a weird and wacky world we live in, people.
Yes. Thanks for spending time with us, guys. You may find a couple of links below. Go and check them all out.
Yes,
Books and
absolutely.
experiences and lots of them, and mushrooms, right? Apparently.
So
Gonna find one.
I'm in.
Lion's
I'm
mane.
in.
Get onto it.
All right, everyone. You guys have the best week ever. We love you. We'll see you next week for whatever happens on Tartaria Australia. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Always a fucking pleasure, my friend. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Stay awesome, people.
All right. Bye, everyone. Best day
Bye.
ever.